So whenever you are sitting for a senior level role or you're applying for system design interviews, you always need to present a scalable solution. So we will be covering how we can design a Facebook find nearby friends feature. So before jumping into the solution, you need to ask interviewer a few questions. First, define the scope, because if we do not define the scope, the possibilities could be endless, and then it becomes a little difficult to design the optimal solution. So there are few things which you need to keep in mind. There are 4 steps. First is the scope. Fix the scope. Then ask about the functional requirements, non-functional requirements. Then you design a high-level design, and then you think how to scale your entire solution, and then you wrap up your solution, and then that's the final answer which is expected from you in the interview. So let's design this. So as you all might be aware of, what does Facebook's find nearby friend feature do? So it is like from my location within a radius of 2 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or 15 kilometers, it will fetch me all the friends which are nearby me. So in order to design this service or this functionality, let's see what could be the scope. So first thing first, you need to ask the interviewer, what is the nearby distance, whether it's 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, whatever it is. So once our nearby distance is fixed, then we also need to think about whether I can calculate the distance from me, from point A to point B, which is of my friend's location, whether the distance calculated, can I assume it to be a straight line distance? Because what happens sometimes is that between a point A and a point B, there could be a river, there could be a bridge, or there could be a U-turn. So that increases the distance, the actual travel distance, but the actual distance between me and the point B could be low. So we need to assume that we can take a straight line distance. So this is the second assumption which we can make, but we need to ask the interviewer first. And the third thing which we can think of is like, how often the location needs to be refreshed. You also need to ask the interviewer that whether if the user is not active, say suppose for 10 or 15 minutes, so in that case, do you need to remove that user, you need to remove that friend from the nearby list, or do you want to keep that friend and just show a timestamp that XYZ friend was active X minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, like that. So these are the few assumptions which you need to make. So you need to ask interviewer these questions to get the clarity on the scope. Also, you need to ask that how many users are using the app and of what percentage of those users actually use the nearby feature, because this will help us later in scaling the solution and handling the traffic. So these are the few questions which you need to ask. You can also ask whether you need to store the location, because that might be helpful later for machine learning. So these are the few questions which you need to ask. Then now let's jump to the second step, which is defining the functional requirements which are non-negotiable and the non-functional requirement. So when it comes to the functional requirement, those are like you need to search the friends which are nearby. Those should be accurate. So this is a functional requirement. And how often do you need to refresh the nearby list? That's a functional requirement, because you don't need because it should not happen that a friend was nearby you, but he went, but the system hasn't refreshed on time, and now the friend is no more nearby you, but it's still showing that it's nearby you. So refreshing the app in a particular set amount of seconds, that's a functional requirement. Finding and showing all nearby friends in a list is a functional requirement. So in short, user should be able to see all the nearby friends. That's a functional requirement. To see all the friends in the UI is a functional requirement. User should also be able to see the timestamp and active X minutes ago is also a functional requirement. Section should be updated every few seconds. So these are the non-negotiable functional requirement, because this is what actually nearby friend feature should do. Now let's talk about the non-functional requirements. So in non-functional requirements, there are a few things. For example, latency. The system should have low latency. It is important to fetch the location of the nearby friends without much delays. The system should be reliable and accurate. And there should be eventual consistency. So the locational data stored does not need to be updated very promptly. Like a little bit few second delay in receiving the location data from the main parent database, it's fine. There is not much of a difference in that. So we can do a trade-off there. Now the third step is to propose a high-level design. So in high-level design, we will be talking about APIs. High-level design, we will be talking about APIs, WebSockets, cache, database, location history, what data model we need to use, periodic location update. We will talk about the high-level design in detail, but let's first have an overview of this thing. So our scaling part is done. Our functional requirement is done. Non-functional requirement is done. High-level design is done. And the fourth and final step is to think about scaling. So when we will be talking about scaling, we will talk about how to scale the entire system. So we will scale each system. We will see how we can scale the APIs, the WebSockets, cache, user database. And also very importantly, we need to also design a flow where we can add or delete or update friends, or where we should think about the scenario where a person has multiple and a nearby random person scenario could also be considered. So this is the high level brief overview of what you will be presenting in a system design interview. Now let's talk about the details of this. Now let's talk about the details of each section separately.